Hey, it's Darlene, and I'm continuing my Cricut challenge, or my 5-day Cricut challenge. Today I'm going to work on a card. So what I'm doing is a slimline card, which is a tall, thin one, which is about 3.75 by 8.5, and it fits into a regular business side envelope. So here I just went to your basic shapes in the square, and if you click on that left-hand corner and unlock the image, you can change it into a rectangle, which is what I did. I did this because this is going to be on a couple of mats, so it was 3.25 by 8. I also put out a couple of circles because I just showed you some stamped images. I'm going to put the circles, or cut the circles out of the base. I changed the colors to yellow only because I needed it to be able to see the difference between the black. I'm really just going to be cutting it out or slicing them out. Right now I'm just arranging them. I just kind of played around with sizes. I knew I needed at least 5, so that's why I copied 5 originally, and I honestly don't even know what the size of these circles were. But once I did that, I attached that circle together, and the reason why I did that is when you slice something, you can only do 2 images at a time. But a welded image is considered one image. So that welded image of all those circles plus that rectangle, I was able to slice those circles out just like that. So my Cricut cut those out with some regular cardstock or some patterned paper cardstock. And I actually cut the card base and that red polka dot paper, which is one of the mats, using my paper cutter. But if you didn't have a paper cutter, you could definitely cut it with the Cricut as well. The base it was 7.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle. This red base, mat is 3.5 by 8.25, and then the yellow one is the one that we cut out, like I mentioned before. It's 3.25 by 8. So now I'm going to color and cut out these images. Now, I have said many a times I will not win awards for coloring, so I don't really concentrate on that because I'm really not going to teach you much. But I just used water-based markers and that water brush, and it's basically like watercoloring it in. So I just picked different colors, and on portions of the stamp that had, like, you could tell it was shading, I tried to put a little bit more color there. Otherwise, I just really put some color on these images. And now I'm just fussy cutting them out. Again, I'm not really going to show that, but I did fussy cut all 5 images. So I'm playing around with them, where I want to put what, and once I finally decide, I'm still surprised that I put this gluing on while everything was on top of each other, but the mice were only going to be attached in certain areas on those circles, so I added adhesive, or I added liquid glue to those small portions, mostly on the bottoms and in a few of these shapes on the sides. But you'll see me do that a little bit as I'm going around the card and putting all the images down. And once I do that, I turn it over and place some acrylic blocks on top just to help it dry a little bit, and so it won't be so wonky since it's a liquid glue. Even though this is a paper glue, it can still get a little, I say wonky, but you know what I'm talking about. And once I do that, I'm putting that same liquid glue around all the circles and to cover most of this, because on the back I'm putting just a clear or a full sheet of transparency. Now you can use acetate or whatever it is that you're going to use. I use transparency because I have a ton of them, and that was cut down just a hair shorter than that piece of paper. So after I do that, I'm now going to, originally I was just going to cut those circles in. I didn't really have any major or specific plans, but then I thought, that would be fun to make shaker cards on a couple of those circles, and it really kind of changed the game and really did kind of make it a little bit harder. But those adhesive strips are perfect for shaker cards, and the hint that I'm going to give you when using a shape, and in this case a circle, you need to remove both of the tape backings, I guess is what it would be called. So normally you would remove one, because that's what's going to be stuck down to the base or the bottom of your paper, right? And then you keep the top one still attached, because until you're ready to stick it down. But if you remove both, the straight strip actually is easier to curve. And that's just a little tip. And if you want more tips on shaker cards, I do have a couple of videos on shaker cards. You just check my playlist under the cards. But I'm just adding some little beads and some sequins. And once I do that, I am going to put another layer of of acetate, or in my case, of transparency, over the top. And the reason why I do that is I've done many a times where I don't, and I try to put the matting upside down and hopefully it centers, and it never does. So if you put that second layer of the acetate or clear, transparent, whatever you're using, you can move it around and place it down like I just did there, so you can make sure that it is centered. So I'm just playing around with the little insides and making sure it all flows well. If you saw earlier, I did show you a peek of when I did all the stamping, and there is some sentiments that came with this set, and so I'm using my scissors to cut those down into rectangle strips. And I'll be honest with you, I don't normally use my scissors because I normally don't cut straight, but that wasn't a big concern of mine, and actually I think they turned out pretty well. So I'm cutting apart that bottom sentiment, and because that was just too long to put on this card, so I cut it apart, and it just works perfectly because it keeps your eye from the top to the, or guides your eye from the top to the bottom. And then I decided to use a scrap piece of black cardstock to mat each of these words and then place those down. But I think it turned out super cute, and I was really surprised because it really went from one idea to a completely different one. But I hope you agree and that you think it's super cute too. And there it is. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you later. Remember, I have 5 days of Cricut challenge for myself, so please come back, and I hope you get to look at all 5 of them. All this information will also be on my blog. The link will be down below, and it will be specific to the direct blog link, as well as my home page. All right, see you guys later. Bye.